Welcome, everybody, to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I am very blessed and fortunate to be with you this Tuesday, May 19th, talking to Stephane Compain from Luxembourg. Very excited about that. We got a great show for you today. If any of you have been paying attention, you've seen Stephane in the comments a lot. You probably have met him at Euro conferences or things like that. You may have seen a really cool video of him and his daughter. We're going to get into that. And you may have heard his podcast. So we're going to ask him about all those things and more. So if you're tuning in now, please go ahead and leave questions and comments down below, and we will go ahead and read those. Also, wanted to remind everybody to pick up the book, Lead Like an Ally. You can get this on your Kindle. It is not too late. Read this book. We are going to be discussing it here on Love and Relo this Monday as a group, and then we are going to have Julie Kratz, the author, on Tuesday to talk to us a little bit about allyship in the workplace. So, and I'm still looking for one more guest to talk about this with me. So if you want to pick up this book and read it and come on Monday and talk to us about it, let me know, let Janet know, and we will get you scheduled. Also, want to go ahead and thank our sponsor for today. Our sponsor for today is DN Van Lines. DN Van Lines is a full-service moving and storage company with locations in Massachusetts and Florida. To my corporate Relo peeps watching, if you need a good addition to your supply chain in Massachusetts or Florida, give my buddy Oded Carmi a call at 1-800-51-MOVER. Awesome. Thank you so much for sponsoring and donating to Move for Hunger. Let's go ahead and bring Stephane out here. Hey, Stephane, how's it going?
Hi, man. Thanks for the invite on your show. I'm very excited about the evening, for me, at least.
Yeah, this is going to be great. So, where in the world are you right now?
So I'm just across the border from Luxembourg in France. It's a small town across the border. I'm a commuter and working from home, like a lot of people lately worldwide.
What's that like having to cross a border to go to work?
Well, it's in this region, it doesn't have any meaning because Luxembourg is just surrounded by Belgium, France, and Germany, and you have 200,000 commuters coming every morning and leaving every evening. So it's quite crowded, at peak hours. But yeah, it's part of the way people are living here, and yeah, for the moment, I didn't have the opportunity to move to Luxembourg, basically because of my kids that have been at school in France. But it's I have my company there, and I'm spending my whole business life in Luxembourg.
So does Luxembourg is the smallest country in the world. Is that right?
Well, I don't think it's the smallest, but it's very small. It's in whole, it's 600,000 inhabitants. So It's like a small town in the US.
Yeah, it's or mid-sized city, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
You may or may not have a professional sports team at that size. Yeah. But and you said 200,000 additional people come in as commuters. So the population increases by a third from commuters.
Exactly, which is quite impressive. And it's why people are saying, "Oh, great, with the lockdown, and people have been working from home, and maybe afterwards companies will say that they can continue, part-time doing that, which would be a good thing for the travel time people are losing every day."
Everybody who's watching this right now, I see a bunch of people coming in on LinkedIn. Go ahead and hit that little heart button over there. I want to see that. And if you're watching on Facebook, also like it, comment on it. We are going to also be taking questions. Stphane is a very colorful guy, so I want to see lots of questions there because I want to really get inside the brain of this kind of wild man of Relo over here. Okay, I'm sure he's got some questions for me too. I hear so. This is going to be an exciting and fun conversation, but it's interactive. So make sure that you guys get involved and leave your questions. I want to hear how you're doing. I want to know where in the world you are. Give your company a shout out. Let me know what the weather is, Jamie. Check in here. We got Simon Johns checking in right now. Hi, Ben and Stephane from the UK. John Fernandez from GMS says hello. Molly Feldman, hello from Jacksonville. Sandra Clary checking in from very windy DC area. Yaron from Flat Rate in New York City. Hey. Paige Holden, our guest from yesterday. Good luck, Stphane. Enjoy the show. She says good luck because she knows what you're in for.
Yeah, she sent me a message this morning or yesterday saying that I should be fine with you.
Yeah, you should be fine, but she is a tough act to follow. She did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, it's why I told her it was difficult to be just behind her.
Yeah, really. Joanna Lindstrom checking in from Sweden. We have the same kind of commute in my area, but between Sweden and Denmark. I used to take the ferry across the water to the office once a week. Stephen Meyer, Luxembourg is also the resting place of General Patton.
Exact.
Wow, see, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, big cemetery, American cemetery in Luxembourg.
Why did General Patton? Why is he interred there?
I think the story is that one of the fight was in around here in the Ardennes, and he really loved Luxembourg, and he decided that he wanted to be buried here with his soldiers that died in Luxembourg. And so I think his granddaughter a few years ago came for a special ceremony in Luxembourg, which was quite interesting to follow.
Well, and you're gonna have to give us a Luxembourg education because I'll be honest, I'm an American, right? To play into the stereotype, I don't know a lot about Luxembourg.
Very often people think that it's part of Germany or part of Belgium, but no, it's an independent country that was one of the founding member of the EU.
We got a ton of comments coming in on Facebook and everything as well. Lynn Griffiths, hi from New York. Jason Rollins, hi guys. Alan King, hi Ben and Stphane. Looking forward to this. Luxembourg is a very beautiful country. And to add, with open borders, I cross the border sometimes just to grab coffee in the Netherlands or get an ice cream in Belgium. Love living in the tri-border area of Germany. That does sound nice.
Yeah, just so that you know, during the whole lockdown everywhere in Europe and worldwide, Luxembourg never closed their borders. So you had borders checked from Belgium, Germany, and France, but on the Luxembourgish side, nobody was checking. It was open border. I mean, more than 60% of the health force, people working in hospitals are cross-border. So it was impossible for them to close the borders.
It's great. Lorinus, hello from Hassenkamp in warm Germany. Jack Jampel, hi guys from Philly. Hey Jack. Paige Holden, giving us a little heart. I love it. Man, so many comments, Stphane. You really do bring the people out here. Look at this. Let's see here. Jamie checking in from Mississippi. Guys, I want to hear your Luxembourg questions as well and questions for Stphane. So get those queued up for me as well, all right? And make them really tough ones because he was asking some really tough questions yesterday of Paige. So let's really hit him with some
zingers. It wasn't tough. Come on.
Oh, this is great. It looks like the LinkedIn questions are loading now, which is really cool. This is like a new feature here. So this you're a first, Stphane. All the LinkedIn comments are loading here, so that's really awesome. Vinny saying hi, Stphane. Hope all is well, buddy. Great seeing you. Hi to Ben as well. Hey, Vinny, how you doing? Vinny's gonna be on next week, so that's gonna be exciting. So I want to go ahead and ask you, Stphane, tell me a little bit about your company and your story. Tell me your story in relocation. How did you get into the business? How did you grow in the business? And how did you get to where you are today?
Well, I think my childhood was I was an expat child. Was born in the UK, traveled to Djibouti and Thailand, and then Switzerland.
As a child, you lived in all these countries?
Yeah. And my parents, my father was born in Hanoi, and my mother was in Madagascar. So very international. And
I'm sorry. I have to pause you. I'm pausing you already. I know. Go ahead. Pause this early in the story, but as a child, you lived in Thailand and Djibouti, which is Africa, Asia, and you said Switzerland. I think Europe.
Yeah, Switzerland.
You lived in 3 continents by the time you were what age?
10.
10. How does that shape your childhood and your outlook from or was it even too early to really have an impact?
I think it has an impact because you are mixed with different cultures, and you have to adapt. So when I have friends that say, "Oh, I have my friend from kindergarten," and they are still in touch and they grew up in the same town. For me, I don't have any friends from my kindergarten time. So every time, it's like when you are relocating, every time you have to adapt. And as a child, you have to make new friends. And then when you have good friends, you have to move. And I even learned Thai when I was in Thailand. I lost everything when I arrived in Switzerland. But I was speaking fluently in Thai with my brother.
You were speaking fluent Thai, and now you don't speak any Thai?
No, nothing. It's just, after one, I think my mother told me that after 1 year and a half, we were only speaking French, and then, we forgot everything, which is quite crazy. I didn't know it could happen. Wow. And, then I did my studies in the UK. I had to do my military service in the Alpine Corps in France. And
so where was your citizenship then, if you had lived in all those countries?
I've always been French, but I have dual nationality because I was born in the UK, and my great grandmother was British. So yeah, different background as well.
So your military service was in what country then? France?
It was in France, doing it in the Alpine Corps. So it was a nice time in my life. I wasn't so happy to go there, but I really enjoyed it when I did it.
So you went through your military service, and then how did you get into relocation as a profession?
Well, so after the military service, I went to Paris because my girlfriend was living there, and I started.
I've heard this story so many times.
Yeah.
There was a girl somewhere.
Yeah, exactly, and she's my wife. So
yeah, mine too. That's my girlfriend.
Right there. It was in I don't remember which year, but hard time on the job market. Couldn't find anything. Spent 6 months answering to job interviews and sending CVs and so on. And one day I see this small ad in a newspaper looking for a future branch manager abroad. And I said, well, why not? And I ended up in Gennevilliers being interviewed by AGS. And so it's how I started. I was interviewed by, a lot of people must know her, Joëlle Castro, one of the sister of Alain and Gilles. From the Tayeb family, and I started as a junior sales guy in Paris. And
junior. So what does a junior sales guy do?
Well, I was doing surveys. Basically, I was trained to do surveys, and I did survey. It was the beginning of the international department at AGS, and so I started for 6 months, and after 6 months. Alain Tayeb asked me, do you want to take the job of branch manager in Lyon? And I told him, well, I don't have any experience. I've only doing, it's my first job, and
I've been counting furniture for 6 months. How does that qualify me to run an office?
And after and he said, well, I don't ask you if you can do it. Do you want a job? And I said, well, okay, I take it. And so I went to replace branch managers.
I'm going to stop you again. I'm going to stop you again, okay? Because this is kind of a fascinating turn, right? Where you and I think in everybody's career, you can look back at when you went from associate to managerial level, right? That's always that big jump, right? When you go from frontline to administrative. What do you think they saw in you as a young junior sales guy counting furniture for 6 months on the job to make them want to entrust you with a branch manager position in Lyon?
Well, I think I was, having looked for a job for 6 months, I really needed to keep my job, and I was hardworking, and I was starting my career, and I really wanted to, be able to grow in the business that I was starting in. And I was spending long hours, and I was keen to learn, keen to, do extra hours if it was necessary. And maybe also my international background, the fact that I spoke English, which was not really the case of a lot of people at AGS at that time. So maybe all this made the decision easier for when they decided to choose me or offer me the job in Lyon.
So you go down to Lyon and you're running a branch. How old were you at this point?
25.
25. So you're maybe a bit over your head. I don't know.
Yeah,
What was that feeling? What was that feeling like?
I was so scared, and basically I arrived in a branch which was maybe in France was the fourth biggest one at that time. I arrived with people that were much older than me, which with far more experience than me, and it was scary. And basically, I had to learn everything. And
and you asked Paige this question yesterday. How do you come into the role as the boss, but you're younger than some of the people, or you've been there less time than other people? So I want to turn that question around on you. And how did you handle that?
Well, right away I told them, I know you know better than me, but I have my background and I can bring value to the company. And I have, I've done the military service. I know how to run people. As I really set up the talk, I had a long talk with all of them saying we need to work in partnership. And if we don't help each other, we won't succeed. And the only way to move forward is that if we help each other, and you help me to learn the skills that I don't have, and learn my my business as manager as well. And it worked quite well. The good thing also is that I started as for a few weeks as packer. And I was able also to, show to the team that I knew what I was when I was talking about packing and loading. I knew how it was.
So you had some of that practical experience, because I'll tell you what, that is something in the moving business. If you don't smell like a truck, some of these guys will not listen to you. So I mean, at least you could pack a box. But let me ask you this: I mean, every first-time manager. I mean, what was your biggest oh shit moment on the job?
Oh, I had so many. I had so many. I mean, I spent evenings loading and unloading trucks, containers. Oh shit moment was when we didn't have a ramp to load a car that needed to be shipped very soon, and I said, well, let's take the forklift, and then when I lifted the car just to load it into the container, then it went well. But just at the point where it reached the entry of the container, then the car started to do and I was like, oh my God, we are dead. And basically it's just scratched the top, and then we were able, to push it up and then to enter it. But I was like, oh, I'm dead. It was an expensive car, and I was like, well, now I'm going to lose my job.
Oh my God, those are the best.
The good thing is that I did it. So
yeah, those are the best stories. Oh my gosh, we got so many people coming in here. Pierre, great to see Stephane.
Hi, Pierre.
LuxRelo. Let's see here. Lindy says hi. She goes and comments, third culture kid to an extreme. Totally. Let's see here. Beverly, going back to the General Patton thing. Her two uncles served under General Patton. Nice. Oh, that's great. Oh, look at Debbie. Debbie's here. Great to see you, Stefan. Thanks so much for representing Lux. Oh, that's great. Debbie's wonderful. I love Debbie.
Well, I met Debbie when she was working in Luxembourg for Amazon.
Really? So how long ago was that?
Well, a long time ago. I don't remember.
Wow, really? That long? You could have got out easy. Just say a few years ago. It wasn't long at all. Victoria Messer, hi from Germany. Yes, wonderful. Let's see here. So many great books written about TCKs. Christopher O'Shaughnessy would make a great guest. Ben Cross out. Thanks. Drew Richards, good afternoon, gents from Capriola here in DC. Mena checking in from Dubai. Appreciate you. Soledad Aguirre, hola from Madrid. Audrey D'Angelo, hello from Luxembourg. Great to hear you, Stphane. Drew says he also started out counting furniture. So did Simon Johns. Hey, that's good background, counting furniture. That is good. Mark Moose checking in.
We all did that.
From Switzerland at MW Relo. Mena El Safari. This is actually a great question and pertinent here to the story here. Mena says, what were the skill gaps that you noticed in yourself moving from junior position to a managerial position?
Well, I think maybe the confidence in myself to make some decisions, because when you have people that have more experience than you, when you decide to do something a certain way, you have to be very persuasive, and sometimes it can be difficult. And I had day after day to prove that I was right. I knew how to run my business. I had to learn very quick, and I spent, I remember I was, at that time I was living not far from the warehouse, and basically I was coming up home not to eat something, just to have a nap, and then go back and work until midnight, day after day for weeks, just because I needed to learn everything. I was opening all the, managing the planning, and I did everything. I went, to understand how it worked, accounting, finance, because I had to learn all the skills that I didn't have. Luckily I had a lot of support from my different boss in the south of France and in Paris, which helped a lot.
You talk about that, and I think one of the hardest things when you're young and you're in a role of leadership is to know when to listen and when to lead.
Yeah.
Because I've been in that position before where I came in, I said, I'm just going to tell everybody what to do, and that totally backfired, and I lost people. I've come in and said, hey, I'm just going to listen to everybody and get everybody's opinion and, make all decisions with consensus. And sometimes people don't respect that, and they just need you to make a decision. And so that's a really tough balance that takes some expertise and some experience.
Yeah. Especially I had one sales guy, ex-military guy who was much older than me, and he didn't really like that I came in. He maybe thought that he would, have the job. I don't know, but I had, to work on that for many weeks, even months before. There was a kind of trust that built up between each other. But it was really a tough time. I had a lot of things that happened, and of course we all have stories in the moving industry. But yeah, sometimes, when there's an accident, whatever, the police comes in and you're only 26 and you're like, wow, how do I handle that? And you just have to get out of your comfort zone, and
the police show up, like, who's in charge here? You're like, oh jeez.
Yeah.
Who dropped the Ferrari? That's not a fun game to play, by the way. I've played that game. Daniel Bagley, hi Ben and Stphane. Hey Dan, how's it going? Audrey D'Angelo loves it, loves the stories. Debbie saying hi, hey Stphane. Yep, it's such a small world. Isn't that true? I mean, Debbie's over here. She's at Nike. She's out in Portland. You've got your own company now, LuxRelo. We're going to get to how you started that, and you're in Luxembourg. And you guys get to connect here on Love and Relo.
Yeah, that's just great.
Isn't that cool? Okay, so you're the 26-year-old branch manager in Lyon playing Who Dropped the Ferrari. How do you get from there to, here we are at LuxRelo? Is there other stops along the way?
Yeah. After 5 years in Lyon, I thought, that it was enough for me. I wanted to do something else, and basically I wanted to go abroad. It's why I joined AGS, and I wanted to go, I don't know, somewhere in Europe, have a bigger branch, or have an real expat experience. And at that time, nothing was available for me. And at one point I said, okay, now it's time to change. And I said, okay, let's do something totally different. And I looked for different jobs. And at one point, my sales manager who had left and was working for Allied said, "Oh, by the way, we are opening a branch in Strasbourg. Do you want to do it?" And it's how I ended up in Strasbourg after 5 years in working in Lyon for AGS. So I opened the branch, did everything from sales and set up a warehouse and so on. And basically after 2 years, I said, "Well, that's so boring. I moved backward. I had a proper branch with a lot of people, and basically I'm alone in Strasbourg, and the market is not as big as I thought it would be, less international, and I wanted to do something else." And so I went for an interview with my boss, who was country manager in Paris, to be his vice president. And at that time, I was Pierre Geronimo was working in Paris. And when I arrived in Paris, you had those two guys from head office in London, and I said, "Wow, strange." And basically, they told me, so second time in my career, the guy in Luxembourg resigned. Do you want a job? And I had 48. So it was on a Friday, and I had until the Monday to give my decision, and I didn't know anything about Luxembourg. And as it's in between Strasbourg and Paris, I called my wife, said, ask someone to take care of the kids, and on the Sunday we'll have a look at what is
go and have a
Luxembourg.
look-see trip over the weekend to come back
And
Monday.
It's how I ended up in Luxembourg.
What did your wife say
more
when you
than
make
20
that
years
call
ago?
and you're like, "Hey, we're going from Lyon to now Strasbourg and now Luxembourg and now."
When we left Lyon, it was we both wanted something else. Strasbourg was more difficult because it's really people are so nice. The place is beautiful. Houses are fantastic, and it was difficult to make the decision to change. But in terms of job, it was I couldn't find anything that would suit me in the moving business in Strasbourg.
So this is what brings you to Luxembourg. This move right here brings you to Luxembourg.
Yeah.
How did that go, and how long were you in that role before you decided, you know what, I need to kind of go do my own thing?
Well, that's not the end of the story.
I need the story. Tell me.
So I ran the branch of Allied in Luxembourg for 2 years. It's the time where the company was acquired by Server, so it's a small word. I was so surprised when they sold it and then bought it again last year, or a year and a half ago when they bought Team. And so after 2 years, change of management, didn't feel so happy about the whole situation, and a private investor who had a moving company said, "I have a big problem with my small moving company, local one. I think that the lady in charge is just stealing money from the company, and I want somebody to turn it around, make it international, do overseas business, European business." And I said yes, and I moved to another job, which was I think this experience was the worst one.
The one, really,
because basically I never saw something like that where every drawer I was opening was money taken from the company, bank account of the lady on the invoices instead of the company bank account number. Just crazy things. And it was And
what
then
do you do in a situation like that? You go in and you find out it's like bar rescue or something. We got a show over here in the States where like they put the little
if I had known, I have never accepted.
Do you file like charges in that situation?
We did that. We did that. A huge file, and we had an IT guy to do a crack of all the IT system to have the information. And I think it happened on a Friday, and on a Monday, I had half of the packers that resigned. and follow the lady that was in branch manager.
Gosh.
So it
not
was
only
like,
is there
wow.
like tons, not only is there tons of money being embezzled, and now, but all the people there in the pocket of the embezzler, and oh my gosh.
So it was like,
now
wow.
your people leave, the money's getting embezzled, you got to straighten everything out.
I lost the salesman because the sales manager was the husband of the branch manager. So suddenly I had to do the sales. I had to do turnaround of the company.
Oh my gosh.
It was a total nightmare. Again,
what did you learn? What did you learn from that experience? Because that you said that was your worst experience. What did you learn from that experience? What was the takeaway?
Well, there's also always brightness at the end of the tunnel, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Well, you have to take it positively, and in a way, I learned very fast. I had no choice, and I said, okay, let's do things differently. I changed the logo, contacted all the people I knew in the industry to start to do overseas business, to stop the pure local moving to do more European and so on. And it's how it worked. Then I found a sales guy, and then we moved forward.
We got some questions coming in here before you get to, and is that the last stop before LuxRelo?
Well, yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's take a couple of these questions and let's get to the LuxRelo chapter. Okay. So Drew Richard says, "What's the most unique experience you've had on the job site?"
Well, I had several. Most unique.
Tell us.
I don't know. Yeah, I had bad experience, but that ended well. Like when I was working for AGS, and then the guy decided to be lifted with the forklift on the top of a storage container, and what he wanted is to just climb down by himself, and then he slipped, and he was stuck in between storage containers. And so it's when I had the police come in, and luckily the guy didn't die, and I had only a broken leg. But wow, that was so scary. That was one of the worst experiences. Yeah.
You're 26 and you get a guy that you think might die between two storage containers.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this could have been a lot worse.
I can tell you, yes.
Could have been a lot worse here. Let's see here. Mena says, how has COVID-19 pandemic impacted your way of thinking and your business strategy?
I think like everybody else, the first week was like, wow, what's going to happen? Then you start to think it's for everybody the same. And if we listen to the news all day, then you end up staying in bed all day because it's too depressing. And I said, okay, let's be positive. Let's do things differently. We started to review our processes. Take the time that you don't have on a normal working life, because on a day-to-day job you have all the operations, and you don't have to review all your processes, all your documents. And we did that. We used the time to review everything, so that we will be working much better and faster now than we used to do. And I also reinvented myself. You've seen that I've started to have interviews. I launched my podcast.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the podcast. So was the podcast like a direct response to the times that we're in now, or is this something you've been working on for a while?
No. It's really
fresh.
It's really fresh. I started to have discussions with a few people, with Roman that you had on the show, and I was interviewed by a guy called Josh in Canada on his podcast, and I listened. I basically, when I was in my car for the past 2 months, I've been listening to podcasts and to really interesting people with fantastic backgrounds, and learning about their journey from where they were until their entrepreneur's life. And I thought it was really interesting. And then discussion with people and so on, and people said, oh, why don't you do it? And it's how I did it. I said, okay. And I have also a great mentor who is pushing me and to get out of my comfort zone, and to explore new things. And he said, why don't you do it? Go for it.
So you created this podcast. What's the name of it?
It's Lux Talks.
Lux Talks podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
And basically the idea is to interview entrepreneurs, relocation people, and also expats. So I think expats can have great stories as well, even if they are not from our industry.
And where can people find the podcast if they want to listen to it?
So you can just go on every podcast platform, type Lux Talks, or you can. There's a website. You just type www.luxtalks.net. Okay,
awesome. So so you created this podcast, and that's been kind of your one of your responses here to COVID-19. Where do I want to go with this? What have you learned from the podcasting game? I just out of curiosity, because as one person that creates a lot of content to another.
The thing is that you need to learn all the time, and I think that the podcast for me has been the interviews and listening to podcasts. And now I think I had my third interview. I learn a lot. I mean, the experience of the people when what they went through, bad things that happened to them, great things that happened to them, the way to overcome the bad situation. It's for me, it's fantastic. It's a learning tool, and I really enjoy it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is really cool when you get to learn every day from somebody. Got a question here from Janet. Is your mentor a friend, or have you hired someone to encourage you to grow and move out of your comfort zone?
I think when I was working in my previous jobs, even if I was part of big groups, sometimes you feel very alone in your country, and you don't have people you can talk to or can challenge you. It's different when it's your boss that is maybe located in Brussels or London. And when I started LuxRelo, I said, okay, at one point we'll have to do it. And after 3 years, I was starting to be too much into the operations, the day-to-day business, and I didn't take the time to step back and have a broader view. And I had this guy I went to, he did a few workshops, and I really loved what he was doing and the way he was pushing people and so on. And so at one point he said, I think it was 1.5 years ago, he said, well, basically I have a free space, who's going to take it? And I said, I'm going to take it. And it's somebody that is not from the industry, but he's a guy that has a lot of experience. He's been working in many industries, transportation. He's been running a dress shop or something like that. So yeah, very interesting background. Nice. And so he knows what he's talking about, which is great for me. Because he's just bringing fresh ideas and pushing me out of my comfort zone and my team as well. So that's
sometimes you need that person, because it's so easy to get stuck in our comfort zone. And Janet helps me with that. She encouraged me this morning with a word, and I help her with that. But and gosh, Paige yesterday was talking about your personal board of directors. It's so important to surround yourself with people who are positive, who are uplifting, a lot of times who have done it before. I'm actually mentoring a couple people right now who want to start getting to the content creation, and improving their personal brands. I mean, and you know what? You get a lot out of it as the mentor as well, and not just the mentee.
I totally agree. And when I have a discussion with my mentor, he said, I'm learning even more from you sometimes than what I'm giving you. And I think it's great.
Yeah. You achieve true mastery when you teach something. I think that's important, is to watch someone learn it, then you learn by doing, and then you achieve mastery by teaching. And I think that's the highest level right there. So that's really cool, and hopefully you can do the same for other people.
Yeah, and I think he told I always thought that, well, my story is my story, but he said everybody has a nice story, a personal story to tell, and you should tell it. You should,
Right.
go on interviews, go on the show like tonight,
Yeah.
to share your experience, which is different from the one the others, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to a question. I mean, kind of going down this path here, but talking about your personal story. I mean, I still think I currently have you as number one favorite piece of content that I've seen this year is that video of you and
Yeah,
your
I
daughter
was
dancing.
yeah, I was going to ask if there is any prize for the best video of the lockdown.
There is a prize. It's my undying admiration. Too bad you can't convert that to euro, but I do. I'm just like I've watched that several times. It makes me laugh every time. And your willingness to put that out there, and for a lot of people that would have been over the line,
It
but
was,
you
I
did
can tell
that.
you.
Why did
I,
you?
I,
Why did
I'm
you
going to
do
tell you
that?
the story. My my mentor was telling me you should use the time of the lockdown to put content on social medias, on LinkedIn. Put videos, talk about, be on social media so that people see you, because you cannot sell. It's not the proper time to sell. So you have to show something, to bring information to the people. And I said, well, I don't like videos, and said, so he told me, basically, I'm waiting for next week for your video. You don't have any choice. You have to. And I said, well, I did a video with. It was fun. It was a kind of bet with my daughter and her dancing teacher. So I did this flash dance mocap, and so I prepared it, and I wrote the small text on LinkedIn, and then I was like, wow, is it proper to send it on LinkedIn? No, I don't want to do it. And I maybe waited 5 minutes, and then I said, well, let's go. And I was
The irony
amazed.
there, though, is it appropriate to put that on LinkedIn? 99% of people would say no, just like
Yeah.
you did. But you put it out there, and what happened?
Well, I was so surprised by the reaction of the people. I mean, if you go and look at the comments, people say, you brighten my day. It's so funny. It's everything we see on LinkedIn is sad and bad news, and only talking about COVID and so on. And this then thing was just a fun thing to watch on LinkedIn, and I was surprised, and a lot of people connected with me.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Did you see?
Maybe they want to have dance lessons. I don't know.
Well, there's a niche for you. But so many people, I think, and in fact, actually, Roman and I had this conversation when he was on the show, talk about what is LinkedIn appropriate, right? What is the kind of content that should or shouldn't be put on LinkedIn, And I think people in their mind have a very rigid understanding of what that is, right? And how do they always define it? At least here in the U.S., they always define it as, well, this isn't Facebook. That's what
Yeah,
they always say. This isn't
and
Facebook, right?
I totally agree. It's not Facebook, but I want to be myself, and I don't want to be somebody else. So you've seen me dancing. It's because it's what I'm doing with my daughter, and if I'm going at a party, I will dance like that as well. And if I and I have to disguise to go to a party, I will do it. I have fun, and it's part of me. So what you will see on LinkedIn, and when you meet me, I'm not a different person. And I think that people tend to build an image of themselves on LinkedIn, which is not their real self.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think a lot of people put up kind of a facade or boundaries around themselves, and frankly, the end product becomes something that's so whitewashed or sterile that there's no personality, there's nothing to latch onto, there's nothing to differentiate, and then you just scroll through it, And I think that you got people to stop. That you got people to stop scrolling, watch it,
Yeah,
and then they're
yeah.
like, "This is funny. I like this. Who is this guy? Let me find out more." and now here you go, and that's really been cool. John Fernandez says social media keeps you relevant. It is a must. Molly Feldman goes on to say laughter is priceless these days.
Yeah, totally agree.
So going back here to your story, and so tell me just really quickly, because we're starting to we're running a little short on time. There's other things I want to talk about too. But tell me about you started LuxRelo. What?
So just to end up, the company I was working for was acquired by Interdine, which became Santa Fe, and after a while, we decided that we needed to separate, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and again, I thought I would do something completely different. I used the services of a transition coach, and after 4 months, I said, "Wow, I really love what I'm doing. I don't want to do it the way I was doing it. I'm going to start it." And the good thing is that my wife was working as a freelance consultant for several relocation companies in France, across the border in Luxembourg. So it made sense. We said, okay, better than me the operational part, and I can, with my experience as branch and country manager, we can do it. And the only thing that was new for us is to be entrepreneurs, but all the rest I knew it.
So LuxRelo, so what do you guys do exactly? Let people know if they don't know what aspects do you handle?
Yeah, basically we are a local DSP, so immigration and relocation, and we offer. We also do move management. Like I told you before, once a mover, always a mover. So yeah, I think maybe 3 months after I set up the companies, I had ex-partners that called me saying, "Can you provide assistance in Luxembourg?" And as I still had my subcontractors, it's how I continue to provide origin or destination services in Luxembourg when it's needed.
Nice. We got some comments coming in here. Francine Drusty says, during this time, there's definitely more flexibility. Being transparent is so important and really welcoming. Katie Linehan says, it has to be fun, and smiling and laughter make life so much richer. I agree. We do have a question here, actually, from Sandra Clary, and unfortunately, there's a little glitch with LinkedIn. Her face didn't appear here. But Sandra says, when you came to the realization that you needed to extract yourself from the ops day to day, how did you work with your team to help them successfully step into the void?
Well,
or have you ever even extracted yourself from the day to day?
Yes, I did. And basically, you have to trust your team that they can do it. I had to delegate more work to my wife as well. And
how did that go for you?
Very well. And she was the one also who told it to me before. You need to step back. And I can handle the extra work, and you just need to do other things. And discussing with our team freelancers, we said, okay, now we'll give you, we'll trust you more, and you'll handle the file from A to Z, because I don't need to be involved on the day-to-day operation when it's not needed.
And they ran with that, and you didn't have any problems with that?
I think really from the beginning, the idea of our company is to be partners, partners with the freelancers, with our suppliers, with our accounts. It needs to be a win-win situation, and it's the way I want to work. And it's much easier to work that way, and it's more fun as well.
So, Stphane, we have a little bit of time left, and I know that you had some questions as well, or some things you wanted to talk about. So I wanted to leave some time for us to have kind of to switch it up a little bit. And something we've been doing lately is leaving the last kind of 10 minutes for kind of more of a Q&A between myself and the guests. So, Stphane, what do you got for me? I don't know. I feel like you've had a devious smile on your face.
I was wondering. I've seen some past shows where you of course you were not in your office, but it was more casual. And I was wondering, maybe if your profile picture should be like that. What do you think?
You think I should be wearing a hat in my profile picture?
Yeah, no.
I mean, I like the hat.
When I saw the invite for the week, you had your hat on, so I was surprised that you didn't change your profile picture on LinkedIn.
Is that a bowler hat right there?
Well, it's a fake one.
It's a fake bowler. Yeah, it's more like a Clockwork Orange kind of style. What's funny actually is my father's side of the family, they're the bowlwares, and the rumor is that we go back to France to the bowler and the family that created the hat or something.
Okay.
I don't know. So, but yeah, I think it is time for an updated LinkedIn photograph. Which
for me as well, I have less hair than I used to have, so I need to change it as well.
You know what I say about headshots is invest good money in a headshot because it ages like fine wine.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get any better looking the older you get, so you might as well really nail it when you're like 30 and just ride that wave.
Well, but then when people meet you, that's a bit different, no?
Yeah, they don't recognize you. Yeah, well, that's why you got to make live videos, and then people always know what you look like. But yeah, I definitely need to get a new headshot. Do you think I should stick with the hat? You think I should make that part of the brand, as the hat?
Well, maybe not on LinkedIn, but maybe for your show, that would be great. It seems to be part of you.
I do. I like hats. I like hats a lot.
So,
I wear hats
why not?
The house even.
Be yourself.
No, seriously. Good point here. Lana Rectal says hi, Stefan and Ben. Let's see, we got people. I love when people start talking to each other too. That's really cool. Let's see here. I got a question for you actually. So you had mentioned that you really enjoyed the Bill Graebel interview that we did here on the show about a week ago. What was it about that interview that really stood out to you?
Well, first, it's somebody well known and well respected in the industry. And what I really liked is how he cared about his team, and that it was his primary concern with the COVID. And well, you have this guy running a big company and very successful, and with a lot of employees, and to hear that it's his main concern and that it's his focus in this difficult time. It's really touched me. I think I think it's important. You have to remind yourself all the time that your company can only be successful if you take care of your employees at all time. Of course, sometimes you have difficult situations. You have to take tough decisions for to be able for the company to survive. But still, you need to do things properly and to respect your employees.
Yeah, it was really cool. Actually, we got a couple of clips from that that we're gonna drop on LinkedIn just to let people know in case they couldn't stick around for the whole hour conversation. Tell me about some moving stories that you had where maybe things got packed.
I have so many.
Tell me your funniest moving story.
Well, I had one where after 2 days packing, which was a bit far away, the crew came back, and so the driver gets down out of the truck, and suddenly, as I did the pre-move survey myself, I see the wife of the customer getting out of the truck, and I was like, "Wow, what's going on?" And basically, she had an argument with her husband and decided to live with the packers.
Oh man, I don't know if that's good for business or bad for business.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did you have any issues with the client after that?
No. We didn't have any issues. We had a similar case when I was doing before going to Lyon. I was in French Guiana doing replacing the bench manager there. We did a packing for a military guy who was going back to France, and what was a bit strange is that we had a really specific time to do the packing, and it needed to be finished by a certain time, and it needed to be loaded into the container for the first ship. And so we did that, and then I think it's 24 hours later, the husband comes to the office and say, where are my belongings? and he was, on duty. So she had planned everything to leave French Guiana to go back to France with everything in the house.
Doesn't it always seem like we're getting in the middle of people's domestic issues?
Yeah.
Like if somebody wants to leave somebody like quick, fast, and in a hurry, they call the mover. And then we get there and we're like loading the truck up, and then some guys coming out of nowhere wanting to swing on us because, it's like, dude, I'm just loading furniture, man.
Exactly, and it's what we told the husband. Sorry, how can we know? She paid us. Everything is in order. Why should we know? We don't know your personal life.
Yeah, that's funny. Did you have any other questions you wanted to ask me?
Well, not at the moment,
Okay.
but I'm pretty sure I will have some for the next shows.
All right. Is there anything before we wrap here? I just want to give you time before we wrap here. Is there anything else that you want to say to folks out there?
Well, I think maybe this time is a good time to assess your current life, personally and professionally. Maybe it's the time to do something meaningful, and get out of your comfort zone, be positive, and have fun.
There you go. Be positive and have fun. I like it. Let's thank our sponsors really quick before we go here. This episode of Love and Relo was sponsored by DN Van Lines. DN Van Lines is a full-service U.S. mover with locations in Massachusetts and Florida. To my corporate Relo peeps watching, if you need a good addition to your supply chain in Massachusetts or Florida, give my buddy Oded Carmi a call at 1-800-51-MOVER. Thanks, Oded. You always write the best copy. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for watching Love and Relo. Tomorrow, we do have Will Keating, Associate Director of Global Mobility at Carrier, who's going to be on the show tomorrow. And who else do we have? We got some great stuff. We got Mobility Jeopardy coming up on Friday. We've got some phenomenal stuff. So stay tuned. We'll see you tomorrow. Stphane, thank you so much for your time. Everybody that's watching, thank you so much. It's been great.